What is up, guys, and welcome back to Electrix Moto. Today we have what I consider to be the biggest and baddest build we've ever done. This is the E-Ride Pro SR 1619 setup. Directly from the factory, never seen dirt, and we've built this bike to be as bad as it could possibly be. So as you've probably seen on some of the other channels on the internet, the E-Ride Pro 1619, the E-Ride Pro SR 1619 has been released. And I think it was a bit of an accident. I don't know that this was actually intended to be done. Now, once we saw that it was out, we obviously already had our hands in the pot to get one because I think this setup is far beyond better than what an 1821 setup would be. And the reason I say that is on these small bikes, when you start expanding your wheelbase and you have a 21-inch front and an 18-inch rear, that's traditional on most large-sized dirt bikes, you really sacrifice a lot of your carving ability. It feels to me, at least, when I ride our Ventus One Plus with the 21 and the 18, it's nice to have a 21 front for rollover power and things like that on the trails. But on the track, what I've noticed is that your ability to turn sharply and maneuver the bike easily becomes increasingly more difficult because of that 21-inch front wheel. And it just takes more to turn the bike. So it's no longer as nimble as it was. And I think what I love about these small frame bikes so much is how nimble and how flickable they are. And once you put a 21 on the front of it, you kind of lose some of that. And although you do have that rollover power that a lot of us are looking for, you're able to hit big roots, big rocks, and that is definitely nice. Having a small frame bike with the proper small wheel setup, the way it should have been from the very beginning, changes the game entirely. All right, so what if you're one of the people out there that already has an E-Ride Pro SR, you don't want to buy a new bike, obviously, and you have an 1819 setup, you've been looking for a 21, but now maybe you're reconsidering. Well, that's kind of a problem, but we have ordered in a bunch of 16-inch rear wheels that we will be able to help our customers, and maybe you, if you're looking to transform your bike back to like this original stance that it should have came from the factory in. We do have 16-inch wheels that are coming in. They come equipped with a tire. Obviously that has a tube in it, has a sprocket, and it has a rotor. That whole wheel kit is around 600 bucks, if not a little bit more. It's kind of expensive, but it's cheaper than buying a new bike. So if you already have an SR and you're like, okay, I want to go to this, because the 21-inch front is actually more difficult of a thing to accomplish than it is to just get a 16-inch rear. So we will have those 16-inch rears in stock. We will not be listing them on the website because they are really hard to get, and they're probably one of the things that most people are going to be after. So if you want that, please give the shop a call and we can talk through what it's going to take to get you one. If there are any left by the time you see this video, it's really hard to tell. But this configuration is what I want to talk about now, how we set this bike up. This bike has been built, it hasn't even seen one shred of dirt. We brought the bike in, we took it apart, and we rebuilt it from the ground up, essentially. So right now, let's talk about every single thing that we put on this bike, why we did it. I'll try to make this brief, and then we got a little sneak peek of the new Aetos VTB controller that we put on this bad boy too, that we will go into small details on because we're not allowed to release much until Black Friday, but this controller is going to be a game changer for this bike. All right, let's start up front with the good stuff, the suspension, and then we'll talk about the shock that we put on here. So obviously, brand new CMX kit from Cirrus went on this bike immediately. The E-Ride Pro SR is one of the few smaller bikes that I feel the CMX kit is actually appropriate for. The reason being is it adds a ton of weight, and if you're adding a ton of weight, you have to have a ton of power to compensate for that. And this bike obviously has all the power that you can need. Once the controller is up and running, we're pushing around 30 kilowatts, which is really close to 40 horsepower, which is a ton of power on a small frame bike. So for this bike, the CMX kit was what had to go on it. I knew that this extra kit that we had laying around was meant for this bike when I knew that they were coming out with the 1619 setup. The 1619 setup, if you're looking for that to purchase as a bike, it's going to be hard to get because there are very limited amounts of them. We were lucky enough to get one, so give us a call if you want to talk about buying a new bike. We can try to source one for you. We only have a couple of here, but they're for local pickup only because we have a ton of customers that have been asking about it now that this has been released. Let's talk about the shock real quick. On our previous SR build, we went with the EXT Arma shock. Well, on this bike, I didn't want to do that. The EXT Arma seemed a little bit soft for the type of riding that we've been doing lately. Obviously, we have the Electrix compound, which we haven't been able to take you guys to yet because it has been pretty much raining and cold. So we have a couple of warm days coming up, so hopefully we can get these bikes out at the track on our personal property and go through them and show you how they ride on a track setting. But we went with the Tech shock. So this is actually a shock for a Sur-Ron Light B, but it is a beefy shock. So we have ridden the Tech forks, the E39s, on our eRide Pro 2.0. Those forks are the second best fork we've ever ridden outside of Cirrus, and I would venture to say I like them more personally than the EXTs that we have on our 3.0. So I wanted to give this shock a try to see how it performs. We haven't got a chance to ride this bike yet, like I said, so I don't have any real information as to how the mannerisms of the bike once I get it on the trail or the track, but so far the look of it matches really well with the Cirrus. It just looks perfect, and Tech has come a long way. Formula is Tech, and they've came a long way with the stuff that they've been building. So super excited to get this bike out and give it a shot. Now we want to talk about the fatty seat. I always thought this was stupid. I'm gonna be honest. I was like, well, for what? There's really no point. I don't need a fatty seat. I could just use my regular seat. But what it does do for you is it makes you feel like the bike is bigger than it really is. And that's something we've always compensated for with the tires and wheels and the handlebars and the risers. You know, we've done a lot, the drop brackets, to make the bike feel bigger so it's more what we're used to riding in the big bike world. Well, this fatty seat does that. It sits you up higher. It just makes you feel like the bike is bigger, and I really enjoy it. It's also super comfortable. So a fatty seat, definitely a good thing. I'm glad that they put it on this bike. But again, I think this whole thing coming to fruition was, in my opinion, probably an accident. I don't believe that eRide meant to do this. Maybe they did. I have not heard, but I think that they just had some parts laying around. They need to get some bikes out, and this is what we got. We kind of get these random hits of bikes that come in that weren't how they were originally intended to be. It's cool for the market. It's cool for us. We get to play with different configurations, and I'm super excited about it. But the 16-inch rear wheel does really sit this thing down a lot. So having this fatty seat compensates for that, and maybe that was our thought process. I don't know. We went with the Kyvex pegs. Kyvex is a peg that we've been running a lot lately. It's a little bit less expensive than the Warp 9 stuff, just as durable, and it has a much wider base to it. So for us, it's nice to have more platform for your foot. So we decided that's what we're gonna do. The headset and the up front, the cockpit area, we kind of just stuck with what we know, but we did go with the brand new Warp 9 bars. These are the tapped bars. So they have tapped bar ends here. You can cut your grips off. You can put in your tapped bar ends that come with the new Warp 9 bars, and they have a much cooler logo on them. It's just, I like them a lot better. Same rise, same everything. Nothing really changed in that department, but it's cool that you can just save your grips. I always run these ultra tacky Renthal grips, so I like to keep that little R on the back, on the outside. I think it looks good. So if I bust one of these off, I'll definitely put the bar ends on, but for right now, we're just gonna keep it how it is. The 16-inch wheel comes with a 55 tooth sprocket. It does not come with the 58 tooth sprocket that your traditional standard SRs come with. So that is a factor of being able to compensate more with a smaller sprocket, still get the same speed and the torque because you have less rotating mass on the back wheel. It's not an 18 that you need to turn so fast. You could put a 58 tooth sprocket on this bad boy and it would be even more uncontrollable. I think the 55 is gonna be good for us for right now. We'll worry about the rest later. I don't wanna change any of that any gearing until we get a chance to actually ride the bike. Now, the VTB headlight is just a must. It's a plug and play kit. You just plug it in. It hooks up directly to your factory mount, and they also send a mount if you want to use theirs. It's perfect. It's the best headlight on the market, period. We have gone through tons of headlights, and the headlights that come on the E-Ride products and most of these small e-motos aren't really that appealing. They kind of look crappy in comparison to how good the bike looks. So this gives it a really good finish. We just went with an ODI plate because we have some graphics coming. I just think it's just a cleaner finish than the stock ones, but that's a personal opinion. Now, let's talk about the VTB Aetos, the brand new controller that's coming out. This thing is so refined and so perfect in a lot of ways. We'll give some brief information about it, but you're gonna have to stay tuned to the next video because we cannot talk about it too much. Here it is, the new VTB Aetos. Now, this controller is going to change the game in the way that you ride your bike. We have not had the greatest success with our eBMX kits. We have gone through more than one on our Shop SR specifically where it's just not working right. I'm not saying anything bad about eBMX, it's just the reality of new hardware, new software. Sometimes it doesn't work that well together. Maybe it was pushed to market a bit early, maybe not, I don't know. The guys at eBMX are great dudes. I know that they're working on all the fixes to solve everyone's problems, but we've just had a lot of issues with it. So I've decided to take it off and just discontinue using it on the shop bikes for the time being until those kinks are worked out. And in the meantime, the new Aetos has just arrived. These controllers come configured slightly differently. They come for different for different voltages. So depending upon the bike that you have and the voltage that you're running, you can push up to 76 kilowatts out of this controller, but you will need an upgraded drivetrain to do all of that. But it is a incredible feat of engineering. I have been playing with it now for about 3 or 4 days. We have several kits that we've got for our shop bikes that we're going to be putting on and testing. We'll go through a full unboxing video, but it is completely redefined. It is a completely well thought out product where I do believe that this is going to change the entire game of how these e-motos can perform. The nice part about the VTB setup is you have technically 15 different power modes that you can run. There's a lot of really good in this product that I think everyone's going to be excited for when we can finally release all the details. But here's your first look at it. It's going to be good. I know that you guys are excited about it because we're super pumped to get out and ride these bikes with it. And we're going to see exactly how much power we can push through these stock drivetrains and give you guys as much information as we can once we do it. All right, that is it, ladies and gentlemen, on our absolute monster of an SR build here for the shop. The 1619 is probably gonna be my new favorite bike. I have been a 3.0 guy forever. I think the power on that bike is perfect, but this right here is more than likely going to be my full-time bike. I'm going to get rid of our other bikes as we prepare for the 2026 season. There's always going to be a bunch of bikes coming out, so we're getting rid of all of our shop bikes, trying to prepare for that. But if you guys have any questions about the way we set this up, why we did what we did, please leave them in the comments. I get to them every single morning. We have a lot more to do on this bike, and we have to get this thing tested against the 1821 setup Ventus One Plus. That will be a good showdown for you guys to stay tuned for. So let us know if you have any suggestions, anything that you would like to see, and we'll see you guys on the next one.